Ladies and gentlemen, if we can find our seats, silence our cell phones, close the back door, any side doors that are open, I greatly appreciate it. We're about to get started. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 9th day of September in the year 2024. This is a city council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. It is scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:03. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Yeah.
Councilperson Prince-Area. Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh is not here. Councilperson Solomon here. Councilperson Gilmore is not here. Oh, he is. There he is.
No, that's not how purpose is.
Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera will not be here, and Council President Warren. So we have 7 council members in attendance at 4:03 p.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the members of the Municipal Council in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2024, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, September 6th, 2024 at 6 p.m. to the Mayor, Municipal Council, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website so they can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to say, so we're joined by a lot of the team here that's worked on this. We've had an individual presentation with a lot of you. And being the significance of what we're asking for support, I wanted to come here and walk through it publicly and talk a little bit about more financing, answer any questions clearly on the record. I want to take you back for 10 years ago, because I think that's an important data point with regards to tax abatements and how the city approached them. 10 plus years ago, tax abatements were generally regarded as by right. Almost every project of significant size that came in front of the city council requested a tax abatement. Tax abatement was actually factored into the land sale price because the council and administration were very liberal with how they granted tax abatements. We came in, some of you were part of that, and we had a deliberate effort to recalibrate how tax abatements were given. That they should no longer be thought of as by right. They should be thought of as something that is meaningful to help a project get forward that otherwise may not have that benefit. We've used them very, very seldomly over the last 10 plus years. Similar to what we're talking about today, we've used a similar model to have partnerships with the private sector to build public schools. PS16, the annex downtown, was built in a similar structure to what we're talking about today. We have a new East District under construction. Again, that is a public partnership that would not be possible without us using and leveraging the city finances through creative structures. Today, we're talking about a project that many of you have been courageous enough to support for 5 years now. It was an opportunity to bring a world-class cultural institution that is located in some of the most significant cities in the world to have their North America location here in New Jersey. Not an opportunity that comes around every so often. As a matter of fact, I've been doing this now for 8 years on the council and 10 years as the mayor, and this is the only opportunity like this that we have ever seen. We started down the road with the governor and trying to recognizing the great assets that this could bring to Jersey City. And we had a partnership till that abruptly changed in the spring of 2024. We, as an administration, were unwilling to walk away from the time and the opportunity that this presents to Jersey City. And so we started thinking about other opportunities that get us to the same outcome that would have a meaningful impact to Jersey City and to go without the state senate. We're walking through some slides here just to make sure that we're on the same page, and we are live streaming this as well so people can see. This first slide here depicts kind of Journal Square from a geographic standpoint. And I want to highlight that we as an administration have transformed Journal Square. In the last 10 years, we've seen more significant change in Journal Square than the previous 240 years, and we're still in the early phases of that. You have the Homestead Walkway, which is under construction currently, which will replicate the Newark Avenue pedestrian plaza from the Cottage to the Journal Square Plaza with retail on both sides. You have the Courthouse Park, which is going to be a park as big as Hamilton Park, located at the current location of the courthouse. Actually started with your father's administration, the county executive, in a partnership here. We renovated the Lowe's. That started. The financing is done. Construction is underway. If you go there, they are working every single day to bring it back to what it was in 1929. And we talked about the scale of people that we need there to energize it, restaurants, cafes, nightlife, and we are well on the way to kind of achieving that. When you look at kind of the landscape here, this project here that we are talking about, 808 Livonia, which is the current parking garage, which is scheduled to come down in the next month, regardless of this outcome, for a development site that has been approved on zoning pre-existing this administration. It is 2 phases located here, directly next to the Lowe's here, and a short 1-minute walk away from the scheduled location of the outside middle. This gives you a little bit of a different perspective on it, not actual visibility, but I want to just highlight that part of the approvals here was a art walk that extends from Journal Square all the way down to Monmouth Contemporary. So the project that we're talking about here is a 2-minute walk from the Journal Square path, so geographically the same area. And this art walk was envisioned when these initial approvals came in place long ago. This kind of shows you what it would look like from the front of the Lowe's. As you all know, because you've been supportive, this building here, which has construction issues, has been a blight on the community, and a safety hazard, is under condemnation right now to open this walkway up from a safety standpoint. And this is what the entrance to the walkway, that art walkway, would look like coming out of the Journal Square path, going down towards what would be the Sandra Pompidou Cultural Center here in Jersey City. Here is a perspective of how it would lay out, similar to what you see across the river with the MoMA, the great institutions in the world. Residential is on top of it, the building is underneath it. It would be a similar layout to this, with a grand staircase to enter it. And there's some flexibility around this, but this would constitute about 100,000 square feet of space. What we were talking about at the path side was close to 70,000, I read that, 75,000 square feet space, and this would actually be a larger building with higher ceilings and more flexibility. It would not be pink. This gives you a walk, visibility, what it looks like when you're going down this art walkway that I touched on a little bit earlier. You could see this gallery space is under phase 1. You can see the Sandra Pompidou building back here, and there will be retail and entryways underneath here. Another picture, just the size, scale, kind of what we're talking about. Then this one, which you've all seen, breaks down the proposed floor plan for 100,000 square feet. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So what I want to do is really open it up to all of you in regards to any specific questions. We have a lot of information here. Maximize the time that you all have in regards to any questions, concerns, terms, finances, what the landscape, timeline, everything obviously is fair game. And we want to talk through it openly. It's very, very important to have everything out there. I think that we have things here that can answer questions in a very clear and deliberate way. So turn it back over to you, Council President, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues.
Sure.
All right, number one, I walked the neighborhood this morning. Those are issues in General Square. I mean, those development, people are more concerned about the traffic, their taxes, the streets are horrible. General Square is a mess. All this construction this morning, one of the developers said some of them been closed. All the neighborhoods been closed for over a month. You know, people are concerned about what's going on. Now, I'm not against it, but people want to know, what are the fronts contributing? How much is it going to cost us tax payments? Who's going to pay for it? And these are the questions they want to know. And if Papa Due doesn't come in, who's going to staff this place? What personnel? We don't have enough personnel to take care of the city right now. So we want their people in my neighborhood, Ward C, which is a large ward, lots of people. They want questions answered. They want to know what's going on. I spoke to Mr. Persky. No one understands Mr. Persky. But as I said, I was out this morning, I was out over the weekend, and people they've had it. They want to know what's in it for them. No, they're not.
Okay, so let's talk about a lot of different questions here. First, with regards to traffic patterns and construction. I mean, I fully recognize that construction is a nuisance and burdensome to many people. State laws on when and how people can construct buildings that they own are things that we cannot change. So when somebody owns a property and they put in the proposal and they go through the proper steps, we don't impede their progress here, nor could we legally. And so unfortunately, there is a lot of construction there, but I also think that when it's done in a year and a half, people will appreciate the fact that it didn't prolong for 5, 6, 7 years, and we're within the legal framework that is necessary to kind of move that forward. Steve, with regards to, let me say, the second thing I would tell you is that there are plenty of independent data points that we have to do for the state on economic. The city will make $11 million more per year because of its cultural institution being there. So from a dollars and cents standpoint, we will benefit. Third, you asked about what's in it for residents. So it's important to understand that if you go to any of these posts, I mean, we refer to it as a museum. It really isn't a museum, and they don't define themselves. Of course, they have one of the largest collections of modern art in all of the world that they will be sharing with Jersey City in Journal Square. But if you go to Paris, it is a cultural institution that is buzzing with kids, after school programs, with multimedia, with experts that they wouldn't have opportunities to see outside of this institution. And all of that is very, very important to this project. And that will be located in Journal Square. Your fourth point about who would own this. Mike Hanley's here, and we'll talk to him shortly, but the transaction is really that Jersey City will own 100,000 square feet of space in Journal Square. And you can understand how valuable that is today and into the future. So whether we collectively as a city decide that we're not going to go partner with the Sandra Company, you want to go in a different direction down the road, owning 100,000 square feet in Journal Square makes this work and is a prudent decision by most of you mentioned. Your final question on construction, I want to go back to that for a second. Okay, this tax abatement isn't a question on whether the building's going to get built or not get built. The approvals are there and the financing is done. Okay, the building was scheduled to move forward absent we wanted to see if we can pursue this. So if you're thinking that because you don't know or you abstain or whatever the vote is, that you will not see the same sort of unfortunate circumstances within the traffic and more development in the area, that would be a poor calculation on your part, because the building is coming regardless, based on approvals predating our administration. And there's nothing that any of us collectively can do, just based on how New Jersey land use laws work.
Steve, I never said I was against it. What the people want to know is, what's this going to cost the taxpayers? And then something else. I spoke to Kushner's people over the week, the next week. We put up all these skyscrapers, all these buildings. Now, this morning I walked Durham Square. I spoke to at least 50 different people. They're all discussing stores in Durham Square, good stores have moved out, the restaurants are gone. I asked, when we were told they would put up these buildings, we're gonna have nice restaurants, we're gonna have nice stores. So far, we haven't seen anything. And I'm the one who's taking the beating on this, because I'm the council person from Woodstock. People want change, but they want to be taken care of. They're tired. I never said I was against it, all right? But they want to know what it's going to cost us. And the big question, a lot of people saying, what the heck is French paying? Are they putting any money into this?
Listen, it's the same model that it is everywhere else in the world. We have access to a collection that we would never have access to before, access to programming that we would never have before, and the entire economic model that we've outlined and provided to your staff numerous times is predicated on the fact that you have a global institution that we could not replicate without them. It is the same exact model that Abu Dhabi and Brussels and Shanghai all seem to think works and makes sense because of the fact that there's a unique opportunity. But to say that the German square of 10 years ago is somehow in better circumstance than what it is today, I would differ with you, and I think most residents would differ with you on that. The fact that there aren't the restaurants you want to see down there, it's a fair point. Most of the buildings are under construction. Most of the buildings aren't completed yet.
3 million, most of them are.
But yes, if you remember, Rich, if you remember, even the restaurants downtown, it takes a critical mass of development before you start seeing a restaurant and nightlife kind of environment. That doesn't happen just when one building is built.
Just do me a favor. Get the information out to the people. Let the residents know all the stuff you're telling us here tonight, so they get off my back. Okay? That's all.
I think that's what.
Huh? No, you're talking to the council tonight.
Do it. Okay.
Who's next? Who's next?
I have questions as it relates to the financing. So just to be clear, this is an abatement on 2 separate establishments. All right, do we know the actual dollar amount the city will be missing out on versus if they pay regular taxes versus the taxes in the pilot? And what is that number?
Let's turn it over to Mike again. There is a dollar amount in pilots versus conventional taxes. There's a dollar amount that I touched on, $11 million, based on the economic impact study of having the institution here, of land value impact. And all of those things are very relevant to this conversation. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike Hanley, because it's not a strict dollar for dollar sort of conversation. Okay?
He's good where he is.
So the pilot that's been negotiated in council, this plan is a fair distribution of what's being used. Pilot is worth probably on the present value basis, something between 55 and 65 million dollars. We are getting asset for ourselves that's worth, that costs $55 million to build. Of our own accord, we're probably close to us. We are getting an asset in a fair trade, that if it's an asset we believe in, an asset we want, all we're doing is giving a discounted value of cash flow that has a similar value to others. You should want to do that.
If the question is, what is the amount of revenue the city will receive if it's a regular tax at a regular rate versus the pilot rate?
That was the answer. The present value of those dollars are approximately equal to the $55 million that we're receiving in costs.
So the annual, I guess a better question or redirected question, the annual tax revenue from this establishment bill tax at a regular rate is what?
It'll be about half, it'll be about double what's actually being paid. I mean, it's obviously different in different years. But we're going to receive approximately half, or slightly more than half of what conventional taxes.
What's the number?
You want.
What's the number? Ask me, councilman.
Let me just say before you put the record there, that without the tax assessor here and a completed building,
Well, you don't know.
nobody would know that exactly what it is.
And say in the first year where each building is stabilized, we'll receive approximately $4 million. We would have received 7.7, something in that range, which is not different from what I said. The precision was not enough.
All right, I see that, I get what you're saying, and then my second issue is rather than allocating money to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, waiting for affordable housing to be built, why can't this be implemented in said establishment that want the abatement?
I mean, you have an ordinance and you have a building that was going to be built, and they are going to make an affordable housing payment based on that ordinance. So nothing has changed between what would have happened without this project, what is happening with this project. What we've done is make a financial trade as it relates to future cash flow and the asset that we're going to receive, and it's a good, fair trade in the context. Building affordable units inside of it will change the economics of the whole project, and it's not, we don't have the ability to make the developer do that. And in order to do so, it would have a tremendous cost, as it always is.
I mean, I just know for me that I typically hate to see off-site affordable units built. If you want to be a fabric and a part of the community, if you want to donate to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, just put the affordable units in there. I'm sure people who don't make $100 and some thousand would love the opportunity to live in there. And again, it's not,
I understand the policy call, but in this particular case, it was made prior to this transaction, and we can't fix it inside.
if they want to, they can put affordable units.
So I just want to go back. The choice is really not affordable or no affordable. The building is getting constructed based on zoning that existed, that we all agreed upon, okay, or the prior administration agreed upon, without affordable housing, and they didn't put in place a union requirement. Okay? This will have a union requirement for the bottom portion, which is what we are building out as the cultural arts exhibition. Just for the bottom portion, because there's no requirement in the zoning. So the part that only we control on that front. If you provide for this to go forward without a tax abatement, it would exist without affordable housing, without a union requirement, based on the zoning and laws that we collectively approved.
I mean, all in all, I just think for me, looking at the totality of the project, this establishment stands to benefit more than an actual city, because with this museum there, you're gonna attract people that wants to live on top of this museum from all over the world, thus increasing the value of said property outside of just the Pompidou Center. And in your asking taxpayers to front the bill for this. Two, there have been no open dialogue as it relates to communication with the community at large, letting the taxpayers who's going to be fronting this have the ability to say, hey, we agree, we disagree. I feel like it's being forced down out the road. We just had a meeting about this 2 weeks ago, and it's right before the council. There have been no community meetings. If they're so invested in understanding and helping the community, what's so hard for them to do a series of community meetings just to get the input of the taxpayer?
So a couple of things on that, Frank. First, I'm going to push back on the argument that when you say there's not a financial benefit because the experts here that do that say what you said is just not a true statement. Present value versus what we are getting, it is a fair trade or a beneficial trade. The economic impact for the area with regards to what we will make is more, that's not even factored into this. $11 million provided to the state as part of this process. We've been having dialogues with the community around this program for 5 years. 5 years.
Which community?
Everybody, this is not a new.
How could you go in here with a tax abatement? We've had this conversation.
There is a process for the public with regards to tax abatements or any community effect. There is a first reading, there is a 2-week process, and then final reading. It's not a question on everybody in the city weighs in on whether a tax abatement makes sense. It may make sense on what the cultural programs, you're the elected person on whether the finances make sense. Okay, so whether we have the meetings or we didn't have the meetings for 5 years, I would argue we've been having those meetings on that. So I'm not going to subscribe to that or let you kind of say that. It's not a true narrative. And then the final point I would say on that is that if you are going to do this in the heart of Journal Square, which is very important, because for it to be successful, you need to be close to mass transit. There's no question about that. Okay. There aren't many properties that are available to partner. That is a major obstacle. This project, like I said, was moving forward this fall with or without this entity at the bottom. So if you miss the window of opportunity and you delay, you miss the entire opportunity of the project. So there is a rationale on why this is happening now. And one other thing, because I mentioned this all to you guys individually, that we will be introducing an ordinance for a special improvement district that is a tax on the high-rise buildings. We're all part of that project. You were all part of that conversation, that any of the buildings above a certain height will participate in a fee to subsidize the culture and arts in the area because they will benefit. So, I mean, that has been factored into it as well. Nobody's getting a pass.
I have a few questions. So have we done agreements like this in the past with developers where essentially we would extend that much pilot and we in return as a city would get something that's an asset? The city.
That's the best yes. The short answer is yes. And the best example of that is 2 blocks away, the PS16 public school annex, which is constructed in a quicker manner than we probably could have done it without the partnership. And it has proved to be a huge success. Very, very similar model to what we're doing here.
And will this see a portion of the pilot that we extend?
Schools will receive 100% of what they are supposed to be receiving. So there's no shortcoming. So that whole conversation is off the table as well. It's part of the conversation that you all requested within ordinance and resolution a couple of years ago. So we're abiding by that.
Just want to make sure that we're still on the same track. And then hypothetically, 5 years from now, if the Pompidou doesn't work out, then the city would have 100,000 square feet to do with it, what it would.
Please own 100,000 square feet of space in the heart of Journal Square.
And the path side building is still under our dominion as a city.
Correct. Outside building is a conversation collectively to figure out what the next step is for that building, what type of services we can put there.
So we could put a school, we could do anything in the city, a rec center, anything.
Correct.
And technically, we're still receiving tax dollars through this arrangement, tax dollars, and we're never seeing that they not built the building because those buildings didn't exist, and we're just receiving an asset in kind to whatever the value is that we're giving them.
Correct.
Okay, so it's like a.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to be, right now, we're receiving improvement tax, the project. We are in the future going to be receiving a number that's much higher. The $2.5, $7 million over the period of time, and those are incremental values that, that without them, that's all that such revenue to the budget. We're providing services to Journal Square today. We have to take care of those roads. We're providing police and fire. Every dollar that we get this type of development helps us provide better service to the rest of the taxpayers in the state. And what's happened in the past, was done through pilots or through conventional taxes. We are able to provide, and I don't think anyone around here, at least we don't have better services than we did. Here's
Okay.
I just got 2 emails, and people want to know, where people gonna park? In this place, if there's no parking, they put up all these buildings in General Square. My block, nobody in the neighborhood can park because everybody's on these big buildings that have, nobody's gonna have a car. Park on my block, park all over the neighborhood and everything. So what about parking?
And I would say twofold on that. The building, takes into account, part of the plan for the building takes into account parking to accommodate this. And secondly, if you go to their other institutions where they're vibrant with after-school programs and children learning, those are mostly people from the area. So both of those two things would be happening. About cars, I know you love cars. Cars are building the building.
Where?
It's gonna be parking spots in the building.
They put up all these giant buildings in General Square, and there's really no parking. I mean, you have maybe 4 or 5 unit apartments, and you have parking for maybe.
Rich, you asked about this specific project. I know with regards to the planners here, with regards to our different HDC, but the 2060 plan, which we've all had a hand in at some point, had nothing to do with had very limited parking, and that was delivered.
And who's the only one who objected to the 2060 plan? Me. That's when I stood right here and yelled to Lydia Colon, I'm running for council, because she voted for it. We're supposed to be knocked down. And 5 minutes before that, outside those doors, she promised me she was voting against it. And the 2060 plan is destroyed with a lot of General Square. Look, I'm not saying I'm against these projects, Steve, but I want the people to know what's going on, because
I hear you.
Councilman, we've been committed to working with you to increase parking in General Square. That's an initiative that we've been working on for many months, right? We wanted it as part of the ordinance that was in front of the city council recently, but then we asked to do a referring resolution to send it back to the planning board so we could do that piece. We're committed to that. We will absolutely pass it. We're going to put an ordinance in front of you to pass that increases parking in General Square.
the meeting 3 months ago with the county, church,
Lots, maybe.
up to Boston, and people, the sheriff's office parking all over the street, everybody from the county, the courts.
I believe your aide, put the referring resolution on the council agenda, and that just happened. And we're working together, right? We're working with your office to get that back in front of you as soon as possible. We wanted it in the last round. So there's absolutely no reason why we can't do that. We would like to do that. We've heard you loud and clear that that's something you want. We've heard from the courts, Judge Jablonski, and it's absolutely something we're working on and we're happy to do.
I just want to, Rich, in this building, there's 327 spots. There's 327 spots to accommodate what we're doing right here, okay, in this building. Separately on the parking, I was in those meetings with Judge Jablonski. The planning department and HEDC took into account all those considerations. You asked for a change to the ordinance at the end, if you remember correctly, and there was a different version of the ordinance that went forward. I'm correct about that. I'm correct. It was about affordable housing, and you stripped out intentionally or unintentionally the accommodations that Judge Jablonski wanted. So it's strange when you ask in the setting because you advocated for the change, and now you're trying to reverse it, working with your office. Okay.
Some of the questions that come to me in my office have to do with the impact of residents of the district. Part of it was the tax abatement, which has also been partially addressed. But the other piece of that has to do with the operating budget and whether or not that may or may not have changed, or what things might be different. City might be responsible for such things.
Can we have copies?
Good. This is the same document that we walked through with you guys. Thank you, Carol. What we tried to do was to build out a 10-year runway that is very conservative, okay? Conservative based on the independent consultants, the economic impact study, based on similar sized institutions. So our philanthropy line is lighter than most institutions, similar to this. If we wanted to be conservative, government grants, a situation on that. We didn't even factor into this, that SID tax that we touched on, which hopefully will be at the next meeting, not the subsequent one. But that's not even factored. And you can see that the way it's laid out for 10 years, city's contribution is very minimal.
So the city landlord operating contribution is separate from the city.
It is all factored in. It factors the state tax credit. You see that's still there. The EDA program, and we discussed this. The SID tax is not there. Conservatively, it could be worth $2 million. Again, it's a special implement fee on all of the new high-rise buildings in the area that benefit from this. We touched on this, so that's not factored in until we set the exact dollar amount. But if you want to be conservative, 1.5 million. If you want to be more aggressive, I mean, it's flexible, of course. You have the library contribution, because the library has factored that into the budget because they are running a lot of the after-school programs and the partnerships. And there's also going to be partnerships in all the satellite library systems throughout Jersey City as well. Partnerships with not to do, which we thought were very important. See the city landlord operating contribution of 2.2 billion there, and that's the line item that would be offset by that special improvement tax based on what you're trying to do. And then the philanthropy would be based on kind of construct of board and fundraising. If you look at Liberty Science Center, $2 million, they very, very small amount in comparison.
Also, as it relates to, so the first tower that's slated to be built, does not have the property standard, correct?
Correct.
Now, what's the, period of construction from the first tower to the second tower?
Question. The first, one of the pictures that I showed you on that art walk had a gallery space that was part of the first tower. That would be constructed in the first phase. We would start immediately design of the floor plan for the Centre Pompidou at the base of Tower 2 with a plan of commencing it within a year.
Yeah. Okay, I just did some quick math here as it relates to the gentleman. So he's basically saying, there will be a differential of about 3 million per year, as you were saying, about 3 point something and then 7.7. So that would be 3 million times 30 years, in the around 90 million, 2 buildings, 180 million. If you figure in 3 million per year times 30 years, is how much?
That's the total of it, and you're getting the staffing thing and.
Wait, the annual, just so I get this correct, because I don't want to be wrong. The annual differential in tax revenue coming to the city from a pilot versus regular tax payment is what, an estimate? Because we might not have the actual.
Don't know for 30 years because it's predicated on mayor and city council and tax rates change. But if you're looking at the first year.
Or the first, yes.
Okay, so we told you that number was what, 3 million roughly, a little bit more than that. You can't extrapolate it out 30 years. Say that if you wanted to do that, Councilman, and you're saying 90 million, you're still looking at what we are getting as an asset over that 30 years or immediately is a larger value. You're getting a $50 million build out of a location that is probably worth significantly more than that in the heart of Gerald Square. And the choice again is not whether the building gets built or it doesn't get built. The building is getting built because the approvals and financing are there. The question is whether we want to have this cultural institution at the bottom or we don't.
Now, I think the question should be, is it worth having or not? Not if it is going to be there or not. Is it worth it? Is it worth the bang for the buck that the taxpayers are going to be charged for this?
I mean, I believe circling around this point, and on something you said earlier, the taxpayers aren't fronting this. Developers are. Taxpayers are repaying it over time.
Yes.
That they're not at risk long.
Yes.
So we're going to get our $55 or $60 per day. Right? And we are giving out future cash flows in consideration. But this is, if you believe this is an important project and you want this project, this is the developers taking way more of the risk than we're taking. They have to build it, they have to collect the revenue, collect the rents, be successful. We gotta build it.
And 3 million today is to be 3 million 30 years from now. Like the dollar value, the value of the dollar will decrease and that value of that asset will increase.
100%, the over the, and the value of their payments increase. We are giving up half of the dollars we would otherwise receive. Okay, so it depends how things escalate in the future, but we are giving up cash flow. We're doing it with our eyes wide open. We're giving up that cash flow in order to get an asset today. That's not an asset that exists forever. It's a scarce resource, right? You can't put this museum in a place that we want to put it at a price that's anywhere near this if we want to do this in the short term. And that's the decision that you're trying to make. You have to make a policy call around that value.
No, I understand completely what you guys are trying to do here. My major issue is that people have been out of shape with the cost of living and the tax rate in Jersey City. Right, so as an elected official for water, I have to be able to convey to my constituency, why did I vote for this item? Right, that's what I'm looking out for. Why is he looking out for the interests of the administration and the developer or whoever your interest is? My interest is to represent the constituency of water. Does this make financial responsibility for me to vote yes for the residents of water? So that's the decision that I have.
And you're asking the right questions around that. Good, but if the asset is valuable, you're getting it at a price you can't get it anywhere else, right? You don't have a better solution to solve this problem. And if that's important to you, this is an excellent price.
What's the problem?
We're acquiring an asset in General Square that you would never be able to acquire otherwise. And I would say that, on the tax rate, I hear it as well, and you can appreciate as well as anybody, there's a difference between the school tax and the city tax. This is true. If you look at what we collectively have done, and you guys have been a huge part of that over the last 10 years, the taxes have been stable 7 of those years with modest increases on some of the others, and one large one largely because of the decrease in COVID and then offset by the Board of Education. That is largely why it's important that we've also made the decision to fund the Board of Education entirely here. So that conversation around the Board of Education impacting your taxes is off the table. This will have no impact on how they budget. It's not going to solve how people feel, but it certainly will not open up the opportunity for you to say that they're shortchanging the Board of Education.
And so is there even a possibility to conduct at least one public meeting between the first and second reading?
Yeah, yes, the short answer is, Councilman, yes. I have no problem doing that in the next meeting. Absolutely.
I just think that just allow the residents to voice their concerns.
When the developer does build the museum, is it a complete build out to the specs that are required so that, can move in right away, or is this a shell and we're still going to have some work to do?
Thank you. I'm John. Yeah. Thank you for your time. I appreciate all the questions. Not a politician, it might not be the most polished answers. I can give you them, give you straight answers. I'll be totally straight with you. Questions are good. They're fair. But I just want to say one thing about the taxes that you were just referencing. They're based on full build out of 2 towers. Okay? There's no promise that we would build 2 luxury 1,200 unit towers without the cultural center base. So you could also come up with 1 tower and land on don't improve this. We're laying out $50 million to build a cultural center museum. That guarantees you 2 towers are going to go, but I just want you to understand the difference. Follow me on that?
Yes.
Okay.
I would bet that you guys want the way the economics is in general square, it's out.
It's been tough. Believe me, I know it looks easy, but it's not.
I get what you're saying, though.
I think you appreciate that. It's really not so easy. And there's no guarantee that anything gets done, right? This is providing the guarantee that the towers get built, the infrastructure gets built, plaza space gets built, cultural center gets built, and your community, all the kids in the neighborhood can provide music. To me, it seems clear, and as Mike explained, the finances are basically even, it's just laying it out over time versus our upfront dollars going into it. So I just wanted to clarify. Oh, in terms of the space. So we will build a box, basically 100,000 square feet in total, of which 15,000 feet will be dedicated outdoor space for the museum, 85,000 feet of indoor space. We have been meeting with the consultants, Bethany and Ralph, and the consultants, I guess, that work at the city and museum. We will create a schedule with them starting October 1st. And our architects are actually in the room. We have questions for them, but we will work directly with them to finish up plan. And then as soon as we complete the box, your team comes in. That's when it's also the union labor on that piece and fits out the space. So our contribution is built in the box and delivering it.
So we have a cost on numbers, it will be the finish line.
We don't know until it's built out, until it's designed. We are at the before of what we're voting on here, that's owning 75,000 square feet. So if you got to a point in a year and a half and you said, I don't want to do that, then you still own and retain at 75,000 square feet plus outdoor space, 100,000 square feet, sorry, 100,000 square feet in German Square. So the cost of building it out is part of what we are doing over the next 6-8 months with the Central Property. Wouldn't do that unless we actually secure the space.
Only way, but it has to be, like, you have to have a ballpark number of how much something like this would cost.
And it depends on what and how aggressive you want to be in there. So gallery floors that are open are different than multimedia rooms. All of those things are conversations collectively speaking here. So there is a build out and a big range of what you're going to do. At the core of this agreement, it's about securing 100,000 square feet in order to be able to do that. If you decide at some point, hey, that is cost prohibitive and I do not want to do this, as we have said, we still own 100,000 square feet in the heart of General Square.
So we have, once the developer builds 100,000 square feet, they feed it over to the city. And then at that point, we'll allocate whatever the necessary funds is to complete however we want that to look. And your position is, even if we don't move forward with that, we would have essentially gained 100,000 square feet asset, because of the pilot, which will ultimately be worth more than what we paid for.
Right. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. And like I said, with the council, one of the things that in the timeline, so we start design next year to start construction of the building, so a year from now, right? That decision itself would likely be made by subsequent administration, mayor, council, et cetera, right? If it's after 2025, a lot of those decisions, but there's no other way to secure 100,000 square feet of space that is flexible and could be a global institution in General Square without moving forward on this.
Because if we're just actually, can you share the economic impact study that was referenced?
So, as you're aware, the JCRA further some this project. We contracted with HRA to do an economic impact study for us. And I have some bullet points here that I have copies for all of you. So I will just, if you want, I can just briefly go through some of them. Firstly, there's the economic impact during construction. The estimate is that it will produce 1,300 construction and related jobs, which will result in about 116 million salary compensation. All will have those jobs. There's going to be the tax revenue during the period will be about 5.2 million, of which 4.6 million will go to the state, and about 600,000 will go to the city. The city's taxation revenue comes from parking, hotel occupancy, and payroll. State has the power of sales tax, so they get more. And then in the long run, you'll see that the city will derive about 11.1 million taxes over a 30-year period, every year. And then over a 30-year period, that would be a considerable gain of 229 million. 245 new permanent jobs will be created, of which 100 will be in the Journal Square area, and that will include 50 more jobs at the museum. It'll also create about 20 jobs in Hudson County and 35 jobs throughout New Jersey. So I think that you'll agree that these are considerable benefits. You'll also increase visitor spending, will increase spending in and around Jersey City and elsewhere. So the visitors who come there will spend money, and that'll help the businesses in the area and the retail and other, it's got a cascading ripple effect.
Perfect. I mean, if you can send us that.
Sure.
Great.
Some.
Give this to Sean right now.
Just the other question to the team, which is obviously you've laid out conservative estimates of the operating revenue where the company would move forward. But if ultimately any of these don't materialize, they're hoping the city is in essence going to be sort of responsible for meeting those operating numbers. So some accurate statement, we'll make sure that I'm listening.
I mean, like I said, these are extremely conservative.
So, as mentioned, these are extremely conservative. The state tax credit is the PA program that's legislative. It's there. The library contribution is fairly straightforward. I wouldn't see that changing. Landlord operating contribution, the flexibility to offset that from FSIT fee, which I touched on earlier. Government grants, we put in $1 million here, again, first year scaling up. If you look at Intake Pack, Liberty Stein Center, the Camden Aquarium, it's a pittance compared to what they're receiving on the state grant, so it's super conservative. And again, if you look at similar institutions, $2 million here is a very, very light number. So I think that the way we laid this out intentionally, knowing that you guys would have questions, is to have a very, very conservative model, and we are serving it for the city.
So you look at this right now, where conversations stand, obviously.
A lot of it is predicated on whether we have a space, obviously, particularly the egg situation. Right? So the beauty of what we're doing here is that we are securing 100,000 square feet in Journal Square regardless. So whether it's a cultural center, a global institution, or it's a senior center, or it's a rec center, or it's a homeless shelter, whatever it is, there's flexibility down the road because he owns the assets.
So I think walk us through the difference, right? Because we know the tax liability now.
Yeah.
We know that we can't move forward with that project because of, the state holding funding, they go back. So that funding was being used to, I guess, to get that tax liability up to par to put the new city in and moving it across the street that it's already, the building's already there for us to do what we need to do.
I want to also go back to one more thing that you, Steph, mentioned, because I think it's important when you ask for similar projects where, and I mentioned PS16, the Boys and Girls Club is the best example of that. And coincidentally, it's actually done by KRE as well. It's a complicated project. There's a better Boys and Girls Club as a result of a similar situation where they built and condoed out the bottom to create a better facility, which has been to be very successful. Question is specifically around,
Why is why
yeah, the gas.
the building, these are.
The gas side is a great location. I mean, I think being directly adjacent to Crossroad gas station, is terrific. And I thought, and many of you at the time thought collectively, as more and more housing is getting built in Journal Square, we wanted to make sure that we get other services such as cultural institutions and in complement, we were looking at the lows. So we secured this building with a partnership with county executive, as a matter of fact, in order to try and pursue a global institution here. Challenge around that building is that it is a very old building. Anybody who's renovated an old house can appreciate how difficult it is versus building a new house. So through the process on that, we were reinforcing steel, we were building out elevators, places that they weren't floor, making it up to code, reinforcing the roof. There were a lot of challenges around that that made it difficult from a cost standpoint, that forced the state to be a partner with us in the way that it was structured before. This public-private partnership, which we pursued subsequent to the state walking away from it, allowed new construction, so it's much cheaper, much more flexible space. Okay, meaning the ceilings are much higher, the floor plates are actually bigger, and at the end of the day, we didn't need the state partnership because it's a true public-private partnership in the sense of how we're getting to achieve this goal. We're using the incentives that the city controls in order to offset what the state's cost would have been, and having been partners at the past.
And what was the actual reasons gave for not,
State, it's a good question, Councilman. State was partners with us and supported in every communication through the end of 23 and early 24. It's well documented to the point where the governor and the first lady hosted actual dinners in order to garner support from their community with regard to the philanthropic center. So they were 100% supportive. There were political shifts that happened in March, okay? And subsequent to that, the exact week, got several letters from the state asking for a lot of data around the operating budget. The challenge and how we've repositioned it now is that that EDA grant that you see here, that we're using a lot towards operations, right? It's a legislative grant that allows us to use it for operations. In the previous construct, so in the past side building, we were using that for construction because it was a larger building. And so being that we now have a situation where we're using it, the abatement to help with the construction, it allows us to use that grant to offset some of the operation costs in a much more efficient manner.
That's right. The other thing, Councilman, I want to address, the one thing that's not happening here today is you're not taking on an obligation to subsidize this in the future. Like all the numbers that are our performance, we have to make those all work at the end of the day for you. Right now, you're getting the opportunity to have this world class in your 100,000 square foot space in the heart of Journal Square. I've been doing this for 40 years. For me, this is akin to a couple of projects we've looked at before. It's akin to the Rock, and it's akin to Rittenhouse Stadium, it's akin to the Performing Arts Center. Those were generational legacy projects that required a vision and a leap of faith that only the people at the time believed in and thought could make happen. You're facing the exact same crossroads, an opportunity to bring a project of that magnitude, of that economic development opportunity, compared to those other projects. We talked about how this is sort of even you get one asset or cash. It's not even close to what's happening here. We're going to see, according to the fiscal impact, an $11 million increase in taxes from the region. So this is much broader and bigger than just a space for tax abatement. It's an economic, as in all the development, but more than anywhere else. It's not just about putting more people in downtown. It's driving the economic development of this part of the city and in the city world. It's bigger than the trade space for abatement. It's bigger than that. It's a huge education opportunity. The children of every ward to experience at the probably that they would never ever otherwise be able to experience. Again, it's bigger than just the math. I would suggest it's something that will be thought out and looked back upon for generations to come. There's no doubt, I've seen it before. This is the same thing. It's just, we're doing it again. New Jersey.
A core government movement.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for having us, really appreciate it.
Right here, she first.
Right, we apologize for it.
David, President of Water, members of the council, I have 4 items on the agenda this evening. First one is item 1037, 24,685, resolution to authorize the award of the contract with Convergent Technologies LLC to provide maintenance and security equipment for various city-owned buildings. Total amount of the contract is $92,188.80, with a temporary encumbrance of $8,000, which is available on the DPW operating. Second item is number 1038, resolution 24,686. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract with Communications Group for the purchase and installation of video surveillance cameras for the Department of Public Safety vehicle impound facility. Total amount of this contract is $47,982.48 and is available in the DPW operating. Next is item 1043, resolution 24,691. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to City Electric LLC to provide electrical supplies and materials for the DPW division of buildings and streets. Total amount of the contract is $56,526.04, and funds is available in the DPW capital account. The last item is 1044, 24,692. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to United Rotary Brushes Corporation for the purchase and delivery of rolls and street sweepers to the DPW Division of Automotive Maintenance. Total amount of the contract is $100,000 with a temporary encumbrance of $5,000, which is available in the DPW fund.
Good evening, members of the council. Deja Anderson, representing the Division of Community Development. I have 6 resolutions for you today. The first one is agenda item 10.27, resolution 4675. It's a resolution to authorize the municipal council to authorize competitive contracting to purchase hotel accommodations for Division of Community Development's Community Development Block Grant Relocation Assistance Program. Next item is
Where's the hotel?
this is to go out for competitive contracts for us to solicit, bids from all local hotels.
And how many minutes are we looking to?
We were just looking to go for an open contract for them to be on a list of available hotels for us to use based on availability, occupancy, criteria, and family size.
Thank you.
The next one.
Not working. Is there anything to indicate if these hotels are pet friendly, as some people looking for relocation services have animals?
That will be included in this, RFQ. Typically how we do that is we will include in the available amount that we're going to take for the hotel room an additional pet fee. Agenda item 10.28 is resolution 24,676, and this is a resolution for the municipal council. I came to you last week to approve us to accept the increase in the second tranche of our CSPG, that's our community service block grant that we get from the state of New Jersey. So this is the second follow-up resolution to that. This is for us to award that second tranche and that increase of about $9,900, and it lists all the agencies with their second tranche and how we divvied out that extra $10,000 that we received. The next item that I have for you is 10.29. That's resolution 24-677, and this is a resolution for the council to authorize the business administrator to execute the discharge of the mortgage encumbering 334, 336 Halliday Street in Jersey City. This home received about $52,000 in home investment partnership funds, and all matters under the mortgage have been satisfied. The next item that I have for you is agenda item 30, and that is resolution 24-678. And this is a resolution for the municipal council to approve the sale of 3062 Hoboken Avenue, unit 302. And in that, you will be authorizing a new buyer to assume the mortgage deed and restrictions that encumber the property. So this property was originally sold in 2016. It has a restricted period, affordability period of 20 years, and is set not to end until 2036. The next item that I have for you is 10.31, and that's resolution 24-679. It's a resolution for municipal council to authorize the use of competitive contracting to procure a consultant to provide technical assistance and consulting services to the Division of Community Development for the management of the city's grants from the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Deja, quick question, Deja. With the restriction periods on these homes, right, and someone, like this person here bought it in 2016 and subsequently is something just in 24, so 8 years later. How does that affect the value with the restriction period?
So we have a calculator that we put the properties in it, so there's a maximum allowable sales price that is attributed to each property. So the term that the original owner owns the property doesn't affect what the maximum resale price is when we evaluate the property. So that number doesn't deviate.
Even if they had it for 8 years?
When we put this into the calculator for the particular current year, it will give us what the maximum allowable resale price is, correct?
Also, it's kind of calculated.
So it does increase, correct? I was to be clear, so they're not purchasing it for the same price, it will increase.
Yes. Well, I see what you're saying, because you said for that year, so the calculation is going to differ based on the year because of the year was already affordable within. Okay.
That is correct. The technical assistance, I'm sorry, back one for you. And the last one that I have for you is 10.32, that's resolution 24-680. And it is a resolution requesting municipal council to authorize the use of competitive contracting to purchase a real estate portfolio and tenancy management software for the Division of Development. So as with all properties that have rental units that are subject to our restrictions, we are required to re-income certify the tenants on an annual basis. It also requires us to inspect the properties based on number of units in the building, whether it will be on an annual basis or a section of the individual building's portfolio on a 3-year rotating basis. Currently, I have the team doing all of these calculations and following up on all of these monitoring requests using Excel. And I think it's just time for us to get the office into the next millennium and get some software that can assist us.
Really like that idea. Just, is there a proof of concept for other divisions of development that use this software? Is this have you viewed it yourself?
This is not for us to contract for the software. This is for us to go out and do competitive contracting. So we will put this RFP together, and based on what we receive back from all interested vendors, we'll be back to you with our evaluation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Council President, before you move on, we just wanted to mark this person's late, it's at 4:07 p.m. So we have 8 council members present at the time. Thank you.
Here we go.
Evening, Council President Norman, and Council. We have 2 items on tonight. First item is 10.21, resolution 24-669. It's a resolution ratifying an award of contract to Carousel Technology for the annual awarding software licenses, through U.S. Community Government Purchasing Alliance, known as OMNIA. The total cost for the contract is $182,436.09, which is calculated in the budget.
What's the number again?
The agenda number is 10.21. Thank you. Next item is 10.22. Resolution 24-670. Resolution authorizing the payment of a claim from the Jersey City Medical Center for performing medical examinations of civilian and uniformed employees and also applicants for employment with the City of Jersey City, and ratifying the extension of a professional services contract with the Jersey City Medical Center on a month-to-month basis until a new contract is awarded, which is currently pending. The outstanding balances from December 7 of 2023 to May 1 of 2024 are currently in the amount of $80,364. Thank you for your time.
Young Council President, I have an ask of you. I spoke with Sean before the meeting. One of the resolutions that was approved in the system did not make the agenda. And I was here to ask if we would allow it to be placed on as a week now. I had, item 10-33, resolution 24-681 is the resolution renewing the contract for Millennium Strategies LLC to provide grant writing and consulting services for the Department of Finance, Division of Grant Administration. I have Millennium that can come up and answer any questions you have in regards to the contract.
These millennial did include this. Oh, okay, yes. Yes, what's your name, sir?
Hi, my name is Ed Farmer. I'm the president of Millennium Strategies.
Ted Farmer, you're the president?
Thank you.
So recently we had this, this application for the Seabrook, Washington grant, and I was disturbed by a few things. One, which I don't think is necessarily in your control, the ability of city council members on the task force not having opportunity to look at it before it's submitted. And then two, I'm perplexed as to how we receive such low remarks from the state.
Again, Council President, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. A couple things I want to talk about.
You can just raise the mic a little bit.
A couple of things that were, negative media portrayal of Millennium in this regard. I think one of the main reasons that there are some of the scores, now one of the scores, reviewed their application very positive. The other three did not. It's a brand new program. It's the first time it's been through the process. So it was a learning process for us to get an understanding who's the best applicant, what are the type of things that they are looking for. And we applied. I think it was a very good idea to apply, but no other municipalities were awarded this contract. I mean, we represent the other cities that had community organizations. Community organizations were awarded these contracts. They did not go to municipal governments, and it was pretty obvious by the reviewers, even though they were eligible, and was worth a shot to apply for this. It was pretty obvious from the way the reviewers' comments on this that they were looking for community organizations, not for municipalities, even though they were eligible. City of Patterson, City of Camden had community organizations that applied for Missouri. I believe there was a community organization they put a new round out now, and there's a community organization in Jersey City that is working with the law public safety. So it is an extremely collaborative process, and we did submit the grant for review. You know, there was said in the papers or in the media portrayal that we could not submit. We did, and we submitted 5 days before it was due. Apologize for that. So that's a little bit. I can get into how, you know, what we use to put that grant together in a collaborative process. I do want to say the Department of Health and Human Services is one of your more aggressive agencies. And one of the more aggressive agencies we work with, we represent over 100 communities, including urban areas such as Patterson, Camden, pretty much every major county. And that department really is creative and aggressive and does hold our feet to the fire. They're not happy with something, they let us know. In this situation, we hope it was a very collaborative process. We didn't get any negative feedback or afterwards.
So your assessment or your position is being that the grant was specifically designated towards community organizations, that individuals who was scoring it was, I guess, looking for that, and the grades that we received is no way indicative of your ability, communication, and understanding of the actual application for the grant?
Absolutely. I do feel that, listen, you know, we write, like, for example, we've written in our 10 years here, 525 applications, of which got almost $60 and almost $60 million in grant funding for the state, working, you know, for the city. I do feel in this situation was a brand new program. We were learning what they were looking for as well. Municipalities were eligible under the grant guidelines to apply. And I do feel like, if we were to do it again, we certainly believe that this is a community organization that should be applying for this grant, not the city. That's what's happening there. So one of the main areas that the two reviewers that had the most negative take on our application, they gave us 0 out of 15 points on capacity. And they made it very clear that there wasn't a presentation of that you have done this before in the past. So getting 0 out of 15 capacity is, the city never gets that. Because the city has, with different programs that it operates, it has an incredible capacity to do that. They made it very clear they were looking at folks that have done these community participant programs in the past. Now, the one person that reviewed it positively, based on our ability to run programs, they gave us the benefit of the doubt that we would find the people to do this program, the city would. That was very clear when they gave us 14 out of 15 on capacity. The other two felt you had to have the experience and the people already in place in this program, which is a better fit for a community organization. I truly feel that they are looking to fund a program in the city. Can't remember the name of the organization that is applying right now. I think the council is applying.
What did you guys read the application and what they were looking for?
Of course. Of course, they made it very clear. We felt that it was a strong application. We did for what we were looking to do. And the program, remember, we were basing this, we don't invent programs or projects. We're going to take your programs, your projects, and make it into a grant application. The program that we were working with was based on the Jersey City Medical Center's proposal that they made to the city a few years back. So we took that, we made a lot of improvements to it. We added more meat to the bones. The main problem why city didn't fund that a few years back, my understanding, is that it didn't have enough air there. It needed more. We brought in the partners and added that, but that was the bones of the city's program project. It was the Jersey City Medical Center proposal to the city a few years back that served us. So we take your program and project. We submitted based on that. We thought it was strong. We knew the capacity was mission building.
You think you guys were caught by surprise?
No, I think what happened was that they looked at this and said, this is a better fit for community organizations. We allow municipalities to apply, but no, if the city of Newark, the city of Camden, or the city of Patterson had gotten this grant, the city of Jersey City did not, then I think we would deserve why did Jersey City not get this? Other cities got this application. They did not. Community organizations in that, got these grant funding.
Wait, that's, like I said, I don't know if this is necessarily due to you guys, but we've been screaming, community oriented, community, like, we've had 8 meetings, the word community was used 8,000 times. So that's why for me, it's extremely perplexing that when this proposal was submitted, that we didn't check those boxes. That's like really what's, to be honest, I was like completely through with you. Like, I was like really pissed off at the fact that we weren't able to secure those funds, especially when it was like a given, should have been a given that Jersey would be a recipient of the grant recipient, right? That was the nice injury to the state.
Be confident that we'll be in the organization. Yes, we went back out again, and you know that, you know, we certainly volunteered to help, but it was, they focused on this. They know, they've seen what they need to do, you know, from the first time through. And I think they will be successful. I think in the end, it was very clear that they didn't want to fund governments this time, this time. You know, they made it eligible. You know, that's our thing.
Do you guys, like, when you do these proposals, do you like send in for critiques to the entity in which you're submitting the grant?
When they go out the grant guidelines, this is with a lot of different opportunities. They'll do a question and answer period sometimes, and that they won't speak to specific applicants prior to the application. It's one that if someone asks a question, everyone gets the answer. So they usually have specific. Now, they were putting it out for municipalities, so they're not going to say in advance, don't apply. They made it eligible, but when I think they were growing in this process too, and they were really kind of seeing the type of applications that they received, and it really pointed towards community participation from the ground up, not from, you know, top down. And so it was a learning process, and that's what we, you know, that is what we do. And then we would, if we failed a little bit on this, and it would have been challenging to do, so it's the first time through, is we should have been able to say, hey, this is probably a better fit, you know, as the lead applicant, a community organization. So if this was our, you know, we deserve, if every application we write, we don't deserve all the credit, we deserve a small portion of the credit. It's your program, it's your project. Same thing goes with. We always have to look and understand why we don't get it. For example, we've written Jubilee Brings Them Home this year, and we have 7 that are still waiting. So we are very busy, you know, and we're generalists. We have, my team is here today. We have a 3-person team that comes to City Hall, that makes themselves available, and any way that we can continue to improve, we will.
What would you say you guys' success rate is as it relates to upsetting grants?
Probably over a 10-year period, this is a guesstimate, looking at some of the numbers in the 40 to 50% range. I would say probably closer to 40%. Depends on, you know, some of the, you know, we're applying for some, all our grants that we're applying for are competitive. So especially when we're going after the federal grants, you know, that knocks the number down a little bit, but pretty good. Percent something. I go to a Hall of Fame and it's 4 out of 10, you know, and that's why we're, you know, 1 year we wrote 67 grants, and we write as many grants as we're authorized to. There's no limit to, you know, based on our contract, and for every dollar that you've spent on Millennium Strategies, you've received a return of $43. So we're pretty confident that our ROI and the work that we've done is strong. We can always make it stronger.
And I appreciate you coming here, appreciate your words, and I appreciate you reaching out to me individually and having us speak. You know, but just for the record, right, in the conversation, you know, there were certainly issues with the grant that were on the city side, right, that were the city's fault for not managing it properly. And certainly most concerned about the fact that your team sent it to the city on Thursday. My office requested a review of it on Friday, did not receive it. Was told that we're not going to be able to receive it. It was submitted Tuesday night. And we'd be able to see it because we have to catch some of the mistakes that were made. And obviously the issue on community organizations, you know, may or may not have been able to do it more effectively. But there was, you know, a proportion of the narrative of the grant that focused on violence prevention, which was not direct to what was being asked for as a community crisis intervention. And that to me, look, you know, I appreciate that you guys have a great record with us for many years.
And that was a pretty significant error that should have been caught by the Millennium team before it was submitted to the city, and certainly before it was submitted on a Tuesday night. And at the end of the day, we can't go back and get that 1.5 million, that we have a community organization doing it, that's great. One of the reasons that the city I think applied was this question of ultimately how do people access this incredibly needed service? And if you have an individual crisis, you may know the number to call of the community organization and go directly to the medical center. But if you're an individual who isn't as connected, isn't as engaged, you may just call 911. May call the non-emergency number, and that's where the city being directly involved makes a big difference in terms of being able to make sure that the individual in crisis gets the service. Ultimately, that's going to be different moving forward with that. So for my opinion, it's just like, it was really important that we weren't able to get it done. And as a city, that. So that I just want to put that on the record. I'm going to give you my support, and I appreciate it.
Except that criticism, like, we could always go back and look at some things that we've done better. We do that with every application, that we write that's not successful.
Thank you.
How many municipalities do you serve?
110, but that includes, we have 40 in New York and a handful in Pennsylvania as well. We have an office in New York. We represent some of the largest cities, Kansas City, Patterson City, Sague City, and the larger, our strength is larger urban municipalities. This is where we focus on understanding it extremely well. Every city should 100% understand that as well. That's why we have a specific team that's here on a regular basis. So we also represent the majority of the major populous counties in the state as well.
And when you said the numbers for how many grants you're working on this year, is that for us, for Jersey City?
Oh, of course. Yes, we've submitted joint this year. 17 are still awaiting disposition. And in those numbers, there's another $28 million that are this year. We're waiting to get the answer. I'm pretty confident that maybe hopefully over 40% of those. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Council President, Council Committee. This is agenda 10.26, resolution 24,674. Resolution authorizing the change of the cash custodian for affordable housing due to commodity retired and it's being changed to share value.
Jennifer?
Evening, Council President, members of council. I'm not Jennifer Long. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to stay for the rest of the meeting. So I will be filling you in on the one division of transportation plan item and the rest of the division of traffic. Right. First one is item 3.5. Ordinance 24-081 is an ordinance to designate reserved parking in various locations through the city. These locations were approved with the June 12th. Next one is item 3.6. It's an ordinance related or designating the intersection of Mallory Avenue and Roosevelt Avenue as a multi-way stop controlled intersection. The analysis was done based on crash history and the visibility that's present at that intersection. Next item is item 3.7, it's ordinance 24-083. This is an ordinance to designate the intersection of Marin Boulevard and 16th Street as an all-way stop based on crash history and sight distance. And unfortunately, the death of Guillermo Acevedo last November. Next item is item 3.8. It's ordinance 24-084. This is an ordinance amending section 332 at PS 16 and at the Danforth Ave Early Childhood Center to amend the no parking regulation in front of those schools. Right now, those schools are regulated to have no parking at arrival and dismissal. But an analysis of the traffic conditions of those schools, there is also an afternoon and after school activities that happen. Unfortunately, there's usually cars parked in front of those schools. So this would be our school day modifying the regulations to make it no parking during the whole school day on school days.
So, this is where I appreciate being here. I might move on his work, Councilman Gill, work with this a little bit on works. And just get a little more community feedback. I think it's fine as a first reading, but I just wanted to.
Absolutely.
We'll do some out community outreach between now and second.
Sure. Okay. Thought Director Walden on that too. Last ordinance, item 3.9, it's ordinance 24-05. This is an ordinance to amend, the parking regulations on Second Street between Provost and Warren to designate one side of the street as angled parking, resulting in an addition of 12 parking spaces. Okay, on to resolutions. First resolution is item 10.40. This is resolution 24-58. This is a resolution authorizing the renewal of an open-end contract with statewide striping for citywide traffic striping. This is the first option to renew of two. The initial resolution was adopted last year, and then this is to extend for another year. Next item is item 10.41. It's resolution 24-79. This is a resolution designating a loading zone on Second Street between Marin and Warren. This is in front of the Academy of Excellence Preschool and is in coordination with a recent redesign that was done on Second Street. Item 10.42 is resolution 24-690. This is a resolution to accept an NJHR grant from NJ Transit for our on-demand microtransit transportation services. This is third year that we've received this grant award. I'm happy to announce that they've actually they've increased the amount of the grant award just a little bit to $275,000 this year, as we try every year to get more grant money from NJ Transit for our program.
This is for VIA, right, Mike?
That's correct. Supports VIA, offsets some of the costs that the city pays for the program.
Now, how does this factor in? Because VIA's contract is up for renewal.
Yeah.
So what if anything happens if we decide to go in a different direction? This fund will still be geared towards whatever that transit.
Yeah, this grant agreement between the city and NJ Transit is independent of the operator.
Okay.
We also have the ability to recoup all of the dollars before February, if that's, what needs to be done in order to get all the grant money. And then last one is item 10.45. This is a resolution 24-693 for the addition of bus stop locations along Garfield Avenue. This would be far side, northbound and southbound bus stops at Gates Avenue for bus number 8.
Do they reach out to the like NJ Transit reaches out to you and says, hey, we'd like to have a bus stop here? Like, how does that go? Or do we say like, hey, you gotta stop here?
No, they do. We've added some bus stops recently because NJ Transit took over some of the former ANC and coach bus routes. And when those independent entities run bus routes, they don't always run them with bus stops. But NJ Transit has found that when you designate a bus stop as a bus stop, put a sign, the ridership goes way up. So typically when they take over these routes, they request those bus stop locations.
Also, like you guys are phenomenal, so we just go out and we see this problem and we fix it.
We try. Thanks, Councilman.
Hey, Council President, members of the City Council. City Planning has 2 items for tonight. I'll be covering the first one and directing this item. The first item is 3.1, ordinance 24077, proposed amendments to the Scatterson plan. So this relates to that Scatterson study urban 5 that was anticipated several months ago after council directed late last year for the planning study. As a follow-up to that, these designated properties now being added to the scatter site. Scatter site development plan is a little different from those redevelopment plans. It's not about taking a whole area of the city and developments. It's about taking individual scattered sites with properties and taking lies and clearing away the red tape these properties. So the 9 properties in question 415 Monmouth Street, 274 7th Street, 217 Livonia Avenue, 375 4th Street, 392 First Street, 2nd Street, 203 3rd Street, 54 Wayne Street.
Thank you for advancing this forward. And just for all of us, I think in terms of a couple times, it's the first term, but just by having a scattered site, the only thing it does is it adds into the plan. And so if the current owner still wants to develop, all they have to do is just sign an RDA with the JCRA and move forward quickly. But it gives us the ability to ensure that there's a timeline. And now none of them would have qualified for being on the site if they were not in a condition of disrepair to that. So if someone comes and says, you know, hey, you know, this is not fair, I say, you can still lose your property tomorrow. We just have to ensure this won't happen under a timeline because it's been years that it's been sitting vacant and has been in a derelict condition.
The corporation. Follow you guys. So, whereas untabling chapter 34, they just wanted to acknowledge the record that the cannabis chapter 345 released that. I don't know if you were considering it. Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to discuss it before I got here. So we do have on for our first read, chapter 84, which is the updates to the cannabis. The companion zoning is tabled as 23-078. It's 11.5. So Sean, what we're gonna have to do is, or what we'd like to do is have chapter 84 go up for the first reading, and then at the next council meeting, have 84 go up for the second read, and then also untable 345 at the same time, and then have the public hearing and the vote as to both of them. They should be on the same public hearing.
I believe we would only have one public hearing for the item that's 3.2, because I believe 11.5 was tabled after the close of the public hearing.
We can still untable, should vote at the same time.
Right, so we'll untable it to consider adoption of that ordinance.
It's been a minute since we all looked at 11.5. Can you guys summarize again?
Sure, yeah, and I'm gonna send out this memo to the council, but to touch on the changes for both ordinances, because 84 was referred to the planning board and then they gave us the recommendation. The big changes are going to be the caps. We're putting on the class 5 cannabis license cap. It's going to be 48 in total, 8 per ward. Like we've always talked about, we're going to grandfather in anybody that's come before we implement the caps. And then after that, we'll have to wait for a new license to pop up after the implementation of this ordinance. We also put limits on licenses for classes 1 through 4. Those are less likely to come about. I think we have the first cultivator coming up on this meeting. Those are limited to 3 each for classes 1 through 4. We removed the second appearance before the Cannabis Control Board. It's not necessary based on the state law and the state licensing regime, and also the other updates we have provide for a more robust initial application before the CCB, more consideration. That's some of the other items we update, that the CCB is empowered to control its agenda directly, possibly create windows for acceptance and review of applications. Once we've fulfilled the licenses we have available, you know, we might be able to set up times when a window would open and when a new license is available, so that we don't just have people applying when they don't have a chance of getting a license until one pops up. They're also, this will also allow the CCB to actually prioritize applicants and not just, you know, okay, you meet the criteria, you stamped it, you're next in line here, because we're going to have the cap. The CCB can consider all the factors and prioritize what's important and what ones they should advance to put before the council. Let's see, what's this here? The distancing rule, the 6-foot rule would be gone. They still have to, the applicants still have to provide a list of all the other class 5 retailers within the 600 feet of the proposed location, but it's no longer a strict bar or preclusion. Also streamlining a bit of the process with zoning determination letters. They're able to get a zoning determination letter, so going before the planning or zoning board, they can still go before the board if they need a variance for any reason. And lastly, the consumption lounges, now close at 11 p.m., not 2 a.m. And those are the main highlights. And I'll provide this memo that has some more detail for the council if you have any questions.
And this is both 11.4 on the table agenda.
So no, right now 84 is 3.2, 11.5, 11.4 on the table, there were a few changes. So we've reintroduced the new ordinance as 3.2. There's no changes that have been made to 11.5.
Limiting the consumption of one part of the order.
I thought I was gonna mention per ward, but, happy to have the discussion.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Finish? Did you finish? Yeah. Okay. Bar.
Madam President and members of the Jersey City Council, Division of Animal Care and Control is here this evening to present item number 10.24, resolution 24-672. It's a resolution awarding a concession contract to Bill's Pet Nutrition as the exclusive supplier of animal food to Jersey City Animal Shelter. It is a contract for 24 months that will not exceed $44,000.
Questions?
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, Council President, members of the council. My name is Cynthia Vasquez, Division Director for Injury Prevention and the Health Department. Here to speak on resolution 24-673, agenda number 10.25. It's a resolution authorizing the acceptance of grant award from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration for the amount of $125,000 with the budget period from September 30th, 2024 to September 29th, 2025.
How do we anticipate?
This money is for acquiring more facilitators. We actually just put out an RFQ to see if we can gain more people who want to be instructors. And we also have one particular person who is 100% on SAMT as well, the coordinator, Keisha Harris, who runs the program.
So let's say, explain to me what this program is at much.
Basically, what we do is we train people to, it's sort of like CPR in the mind, but it's sort of a CPR card, but CPR in the mind. So it's to help people gain access to understanding mental health problems and learning so that they can identify it and be the liaison to send it to a professional person.
Just want to be sure. Now, with regards to these trainings, who's eligible to come to these trainings?
What we do is we put out a RFQ which asks for backgrounds. We accept people who have psychology backgrounds, people who might be interested in getting certificates, things of that nature. People who have an interest in but a background in other services in mental health. So my manager, Tony Pacello, is a social worker, for New Jersey and also runs the Peaceful Families Program, assesses, these particular candidates, and then we go ahead and interview them to make sure that they would be qualified to be instructors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Council President Waterman, council members, Golda Free from the Office of Employee Benefits. I'm here to present item number 1020, resolution 24-68. This resolution is to exercise our final option of renewal contract for Equitable Financial Services Company. This vendor provides our life insurance policy.
Hi, good afternoon, Council President and Council members. I'm here for two resolutions to deadline for the veterans exemption. The first one is resolution number 24-650. Item number 10.2. Resolution granting a veterans exemption on that property lot 28303. That 37 for the property located in the 16 Marble. So 100% single veterans are eligible for 100% of tax exemption of their permanent residence. Therefore, I'm requesting that municipal council to authorize the tax collector to refund or cancel the taxes in the amount of $1,168.86. The other properties is named for the exemption veteran, resolution number 24-651, item number 10.3, for the property located at 215 Whitman Parkway, block 2341, lot 20. The amount to be canceled or refund is $867.88.
Say, 215 Whitewood Parkway.
Yes.
Now, with regards to, so so they pay, it's not the first year on the exempt list, right?
What do you mean?
So you're saying we're refunding them the amount they paid to them.
Yes, it's based on the time that they apply for it. Let's say they apply in May, they're going to be exempt June the 1st. So I have to cancel that 6 months difference in taxes. Depending if it's a one family house or two family house. If it's one family house, it's 100% of the taxes. If it's a two family, it will be 50% of the taxes. Whatever the percentage of the owner occupies the property. Thank you, have a nice day.
Good afternoon, Council. I have three resolutions I'm presenting today. The first one is resolution 24-682, agenda number 1034. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of the work grant agreement from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, accepting applications for the building resilient infrastructure of this grant. This grant is to build out or is funding phase 1 of the McGovern Park Resilience Project. That is the intent is to install subsurface storage tanks in McGovern Park to combat the immediate damages of stormwater flooding. Phase 1 takes 14 months and entails providing surveys, geotechnical analysis, design, benefit and cost analysis, and permitting. FEMA is awarding the city $510,515.20 for phase 1, and the city has agreed to a cash match of phase 1 of $159,536.
Do we know the location of the park?
Yes, it's going to be in the basketball court. Right now, the scope of the project is under the basketball court, and what is right now currently the grass lawn right next to the basketball court.
The next resolution is resolution 24-B, 683, agenda number 1035. The resolution accepting the grant award for execution of the USDA's Inflation Reduction Act, Urban and Community Forestry Grant. This grant is a total amount of $2 million and no cash match from the city. It was dedicated to funds for planting trees within the Jacksonville Main Street and citing neighborhoods, including along Martin Luther King Boulevard. The final resolution today is the number 1036, resolution 24-684. This resolution is authorizing Jersey City Environmental Commission to accept the 2024 Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions, or ANJAC, Open Space Stewardship Grant. The total amount of the grant is $2,250.
You said 35 trees on the river. Oh, where, do we know where?
They are going to be, they are going to be within the Jacksonville Main Street site neighborhoods. So that includes Greenville, Bergen Lafayette.
That's a little sure. I just asked that, make sure we're putting the right trees, because right now we have the issue with homeowners association versus purchase these condos or houses and need an expert. Now trees are raising the concrete, it's an issue of who the tree belongs to and stuff like that. So I just hope one that wherever they're going, they're communicated to said community and then they know the responsibilities, and two, they're the, I guess the appropriate trees or the better than other stuff. I think more trees are good.
I'm glad to hear it. And yes,
Well, not me, not the trees, I'm talking about your trees. Yes.
no, and what I will say is that there is a very, very large community engagement aspect to this grant. $2 million is not just going to the installation and purchasing of trees. A lot of it is to do with community engagement as well. So I will also say that I agree. I want to put the right tree in the right place and where trees are going to be successful. That means planting the correct species in the correct size units and taking into consideration external factors. And we follow the guidelines of we follow the standards set by the forestry standards pretty effectively. And I think that has increased, or decreased mortality that we have seen with planted trees.
It just, I guess like a point of information, just some of the trees in the past that I have seen like weren't being watered properly. There's like that kind of bag that goes around the tree. It's supposed to be like a hole where you put the hose in and it's supposed to like sort of drain the bottom. I don't know exactly how the tree gets fed, but in the past, some trees were watered by watering them around instead of putting the water in the plastic bag inside the hole so that it could like nourish the tree over time.
Yes, we've seen a very successful installation of those watering bags. Our new contractor, as well as city-wide project, is using them, and we're going to be required to pay them into the new bids that we will put out for all of the upcoming grants that we have for tree planting to require watering bags, because we know that they increase the success of the tree.
Because sometimes they'll water behind the bag, like, you know, there's like a space between the truck and the bag, but there's like a specific hole that the hose has to go into the water, you know, so they just, want to put that out there to make sure.
We understand, and it also helps us with gauging how frequent our contractors are actually watering the trees. So it's a really helpful tool for us to manage the guarantee of the contract. So I agree. Yes, it's going in the new bids.
Thank you.
Was there any question on agenda number 1036?
No.
Very much.
Evening, Council President and council members. We have two resolutions this evening. First being agenda number 147, resolution 24-695. It's a resolution providing local support for Cream of the Pot LLC to operate as for retail cannabis business at 497 Municipal. So approved by the CCB on August 4th, 2023, and by the planning board on August 6th, 2023. The two MOUs in place, SMA Kitty Foundation and the New Curry Woods tab.
This, well, that's A, right?
Right at the junction.
Five, one.
One Anderson. It's the bar that was on the corner of Right Street.
Oh, the corner park, I mean,
250 bar.
the 250 bar. What, I thought they were gonna sandwich shop in there.
Yes, and it's within that same building, it's next. We have
It's building.
It's an entrance door on the ranch.
I think it's expensive, gonna be. Oh, we get the.
Under 25 minutes.
Oh, that's on the bus, it's gonna be, oh, okay, oh, wow.
There is another retail business.
On, yes, on Green, okay.
Next, we have agenda number 248, resolution 24-696. It's a resolution providing local support for Blue Lagoon Farms LLC to operate a Class 1 cultivated cannabis business. 77 Forest Hill. This is actually the first cultivator that's going to be in front of the council. Was approved by the planning board on August 20th, 2024. It was an initial hearing in front of the CCB back in February of this year. And fortunately, during that meeting, the lost the quorum. So there were only two members that were able to vote. It did create somewhat of a problem. We also had another meeting that was scheduled for August 26th of this year. We didn't have a quorum, so we have a special meeting on Wednesday. So Wednesday, it starts at 5:30. We're going to have the applicant reappear as the first item on the agenda. This application, the applicant is very concerned, it's very time sensitive for his approvals from the board because he may lose his funding if he doesn't get this support from the council. So I spoke to our corporation council. After we're having a meeting at 5:30, we're going to hear it right away. So I'll either by email or text, just confirm that the application. It's the the applicant, he's actually here with us with me, is in the back here. He's very passionate about the business and we don't want, I was thinking we want to support him. So he doesn't lose his fund.
Yes, I talked to the gentleman, I think this good that we were able, or we'll be able to get his application for, well, you guys can have a Wednesday, we were here later on that. This, the back of the form, so, yes.
Commercial.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Council President, council members, good evening. On resolution tonight for the Division of Engineering. It's agenda item number 10.55, resolution 24-703 is the contract regarding the JP landfill and the ongoing O&M operations and maintenance required by EPA and JTUP. We've had successful vendor doing it many years, the EPA have with them. This is just a continuation of that obligation for the site that we own. Thank you, public, for the summary.
First reading ordinance 3.1, 3.2, which touched on earlier. 3, city ordinance 24-079. It's an ordinance amending chapter 287, solid waste, article 1, storage, collection, and disposal, article 3, reflectors. Item 3.4, city ordinance 24-0. Sure.
This was the one I did in consultation with Joe Barrow and Frank Pierce from qualified DPW perspective. Questions about it, but the broad strokes are the amendments that are being made. Are probably like they had some questions and concerns about how receptacles are being used and how they're just the description or definition in the ordinance, so they requested a change there. The other big piece of this was how traction on commercial corridors where there are mixed use, so it's residential on top and commercial on the bottom. We have a high deal of for everybody else, but I know Steve Fix does also, with missed trash pickups, confusion over who's responsible for what, whether it's private hauler versus regional industry. So that we're asking businesses that have private haulers to put their trash in an orange bag. So it's very clear, and there's no confusion. It's not going to solve our trash problems, but it made some of the enforcement a little bit easier. We also did a comparison of whether or not there would be a cost differential between regular black bags versus an orange color bag, and they're not. We're also planning on about a 3-month runway to get all the educational pieces and components in place, including letter from the city, working with our special improvement district that work directly with our businesses, and then some code compliance at another level of education with law enforcement. I know that there was a question about the definition of receptacles, so I don't want to speak for Joe Barrow, but I'm taking that back to him. And then for the properties that had 10 units or more, we have extended that to 16 units or more because we feel like that's a little bit more there. But also, should that not be the right number, or if there are going to be consequences for having visited it's policy in place. But for my piece of it, the big part is the commercial border. So if there are any other questions, let me know, or just email, and then I'll get back and then meet Joe Barrow tomorrow about some of the others, and if there want to questions about that. That's it.
Okay. Item 3.4, city ordinance 24-080. It's an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 332, vehicles and traffic, article 3, parking, standing, stopping, implementing section 24.2, parking prohibited at certain times, except for vehicles of municipal employees in possession of a parking permit. Okay, and items 3.5 through 3.10 were touched on earlier. So our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, city ordinance 24-066. It's an ordinance amending chapter 160, fees and charges, section 1, fee schedule established, subsection 10. Chapter 254, property maintenance, the fee schedule for lead-based hazard inspection of rental units pursuant to Pamphlet Law 2021 C.182.
I do have one question on, with regards to 2.5 in the handicap, parking spaces, what does it mean, like they have, Daniel Swepson Jr. 23, Williams Avenue, then in parentheses there 205. There's one that after all he moved and he's from, so he's moving from the original to the parentheses place. Thank you.
Just showing councilman that we're not adding a space with entrance.
Okay.
Item 4.2, city ordinance 24-068, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 263, article 4, retail and commercial premises to prohibit distribution of plastic straws and non-reusable food and beverage accessories by food service establishments. Item 4.3, city ordinance 24-069 is an ordinance amending chapter 332, vehicles and traffic, article 1, general provisions, and article 3, parking, standing, and stopping. Item 4.4, city ordinance 24-070 is an ordinance supplementing chapter 332, vehicles and traffic, article 2, traffic regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal, to prohibit turns on red at all times at the intersection of Montgomery Street and Grove Street. Item 4.5, ordinance 24-071 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to the number spot to allow the number spot to install handicap entrance ramp on the boundary line of Lot 9, Block 1B503, and for the benefit of Lot 9, Block 1B503, commonly known as 539 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Item 4.6, City Ordinance 24-072 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City to execute an extension of the lease with the New Jersey Schools Development Authority on the real property at Block 21102, Lot 52 on the city's tax map, located at 70 Edie Avenue for the purpose of temporary parking for the adjacent service.
Councilman, if I could just, sorry,
That's good.
Councilman Gilmore, just take into consideration some of your concerns and the RFP process. We will talk about that location, some of the materials, the debris that's an issue there. And this just gets us through the February to the renewal process. So if it's via or a new entity, we'll have to reconsider the temporary parking spots.
And John, a quick question, who owns the initial area they were parking off Garfield? Is that ours too, or it's?
That was originally, now they're building a truck school there. It was originally.
Oh, okay, all right.
Next, I have 4.7, City Ordinance 24-073 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council adopting the Broadway redevelopment plan. Item 4.8, City Ordinance 24-074 is an ordinance regarding the proper storage of road salt and other solid de-icing materials on privately owned properties. Item 4.9, City Ordinance 24-075 is an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement between the City of Jersey City and Verona, New Jersey, for the property located at 71 Municipal Avenue, New Jersey City, New Jersey. And 4.10, City Ordinance 24-076 is an ordinance disestablishing the Jersey City Municipal Construction Board of Appeals.
Council President, their meeting is Wednesday morning prior to, I got that confused too, it's prior to the council meeting, not the caucus meeting. I believe it's at 10 or 11 a.m. So we'll have more that morning prior to final adoption Wednesday night.
Hey, John, is there, any reason with regards to 4.9, why the rate is what it is? I know we've been here for a while, so, you know, for the, I think that's what we had Verizon.
The Madam President, to the council, the rate schedule is basically a renewal. It's $1,200 a month. We've been able to keep that rate. For parking for the police client, now it's just basically fire, but we like to make it inclusive. Yeah.
Okay, and we'll have a public hearing on the 2024-2025 McGinley Square Special Improvement District Assessment Roll and Budget. And we have our public speakers right now. We're at 35. Next, District Communications and questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.57. None. Any questions or comments on Office Communications 7.1 through 7.15? Have one report of directors at 8.1. Questions or comments? Have our claims and on to our resolutions. Item 10.1, Resolution 24-649 is a resolution of the City of Jersey City and County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, authorizing city officials to undertake certain actions in connection with the issuance and sale of not to exceed $124,450,000 bond anticipation notes, Series 2024D tax exempt, and not to exceed $12,600,000 special emergency notes, Series 2024E federal tax.
Thank you, Sean. The explanation is actually short of the title. Council, this is not an issuance of any new debt. Just a reminder, anytime the administration or the governing body would like to issue new debt, it has to be about through ordinance law. This is just a renewal of the notes that come due for prior debt, and we have to designate whether the dollars are taxable or not taxable. So these are just previous notes that are being held and considered for continuing financing.
Items 10.2 and 3 were touched on earlier. Item 10.4, resolution 24-652 is a resolution honoring the Muslim community as a community leader of excellence. Item 10.5, resolution 24-653 is a resolution honoring the Duke of Fusco for 45 years of dedicated service to the arts and to the children of the city of Jersey City at Liberty. Again. Item 10.6, resolution 24-654 is a resolution commemorating September 23rd, 2024 as Lafayette Day. Item 10.7, resolution 24-655 is a resolution authorizing the city of Jersey to accept a gift of sculpture adorned by Tonda Francis from the Exchange Place Alliance. Item 10.8, resolution 24-656 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of the license and gift agreement between the city of Jersey City and the Friends of Lincoln Forest Park to create a memorial plaque program. Item 10.9, resolution 24-657 is a resolution recognizing and honoring Detective Lorraine Apps on her retirement. Item 10.10, resolution 24-658 is a resolution recognizing the contributions and achievements of NIS. Item 10.11, resolution 24-659 is a resolution recognizing the contributions and achievements of Joseph Cameron. Item 10.12, resolution 24-660 is a resolution honoring Sumajar Kaufman and Sneaker Room annual back to school block parties. Suraj, thank you. Item 10.13, resolution 24-661 is a resolution in connection with the 84th anniversary of the Teen Forest Massacre and the 85th anniversary of the German Soviet invasion of Poland. Item 10.14, resolution 24-662 is a resolution appointing Kim Carrero as a member of the Jersey City Shade Tree Committee. Next, item 10.15, resolution 24-3 is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service contract to Bowen Company LLP to provide accounting and advisory services. Next, item 10.16, resolution 24-664 is a resolution authorizing a lien against properties listed herein for the cost of removing litter, debris, etc., in accordance with NJSA 40:48-2.14 and Jersey City Code Section 287-4. Item 10.17, resolution 24-665 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Microsoft Systems NJ.com for the support proprietary computer hardware and software systems funded by the Department of Administration Division of Information Technology. Item 10.18, resolution 24-666. I remember. A resolution accepting the 2024-125 assessment roll of the McGinley Square Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. 10.19, 24-667 is a resolution adopting and ratifying the 2024-2025 budget of the McGinley Square Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. 10.20 through 10.22 was touched on earlier. 10.23, resolution 24-671, resolution awarding professional service agreement to Dean Hillman to provide defense counsel services relating to workers' compensation claim petitions filed against the city of Jersey City. Items 10.24 through 10.38 were touched on earlier. 10.39, resolution 24-687 is a resolution of the municipal council approving the application of the 167 Avenue Condominium Association to participate in the DACA program regarding block 26301, lot 28, more commonly known as 142. Items 10.40 through 45 were touched on earlier. 10.46, resolution 24-694 is a resolution ratifying the amendment to the contract and resolution with H2M Associates for the historic master plan. And items 10.47 through 48 were touched on earlier. And can I turn it over? Well, no. Item 10.49, resolution 24-697. It's a resolution of authorizing a license agreement between the city of Jersey City and the Jersey City Public Schools to grant New Jersey City Public Schools exclusive use of the southwest corner of the Municipal Park during select hours. Items 10.50 through 10.54. Can I turn it over to the Corporation Council?
Or, 1050, these are all actually HR related as well. So 1050, we need third party hearing officers for any grievances, disciplinary actions. 1051, it's also outside counsel providing consultation to HR and administration in regards to those contract negotiations. We do outside counsel in the larger contract negotiations with the unions. 1052 and 1053.
So those are two separate resolutions authorizing payment to Jeffrey Serenian, who's our outside counsel for our affordable housing litigation that's going on in relation to the collective of development fees. It's our spending plan at this point. So he's got some previous bills that need to be authorized and renewal of the contract going forward.
Thank you.
Last 1054, also outside counsel when needed when there are conflicts.
Very much. Item 10.55 was discussed earlier. Item 10.56. I believe these are return items from the last council meeting. These items were withdrawn. These are the WEC funding items, and our business administrator will address council items.
Thank you, Sean. Council, in discussion at the agenda meeting with the council president, we're bringing these back. Fortunately, we didn't realize that Lawrence is on vacation. So the EPC will be providing a memo tomorrow to the council, any follow-up questions, and if there's any concerns. They'll also be at our next meeting for the 5-year plan. So there's something we want to resurface specifically for the UEC funding and the negotiation as that is something that's been before. So that'll be in writing from the EPC, and then we'll have further discussion.
That covers items 10.56 through 10.59, which concludes our resolutions. Listen, I haven't enough time on Sunday. Yeah, if you have the game tonight, so I appreciate that. There's going to be many to follow, unfortunately. With that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn at 6:20 p.m. Motion was made by Councilperson Saleh. They have a second. Second by Councilperson Prince Eric. On the motion to adjourn at 6:20 p.m., all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We get out of here at 6:20 p.m. Thank you so much for everyone in attendance and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night. Stay safe.